The following is rated TVMA and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Okay, it should be working now. Anyway, I want to apologize because the whole opening was muted. This started off muted because it wasn't showing my microphone, which, yeah, that's the whole thing with live. You gotta, like, trial and error and, like, mess ups and all that stuff. But, anyways, welcome to Talk Radio. And not just any night. This is Time Warp Thursday. And tonight is something extra special because this is season 2, episode 100. It's May 29th, 2025, and we are exactly 40.82% through the year of 2025. But let's be honest, time isn't exactly linear around here, is it? And hello, Mr. Cheese, over on the chat on YouTube. Mr. Cheese watching me right now. I am your host, Jonathan Riley, your late night guide through shadowed corridors of forgotten history, unexplained mysteries, and the strange echoes that seem to whisper across time. Tonight, we're turning the dial back to one of the most chilling puzzles of the 20th century, the enigmatic, enigmatic, and still unidentified Zodiac Killer. Ciphers, taunting letters, and victims whose stories deserve to be heard. The case has haunted investigators for decades, and the theories, oh, they're endless. But that's not all. We'll also be diving into real life paranormal encounters, twisted time loops, haunted objects, and some of the most bizarre unsolved mysteries you've probably never heard of. We will see if I get into all that, but you will see. You see, Time Warp Thursday isn't just a show, it's a portal to the questions we forgot to ask and the answers we may never find. So buckle up, keep your flashlight close, and whatever you do, don't ignore that feeling in the pit of your stomach. You know the one. And hey, we want to, we want you to be part of this investigation. Got a theory about the Zodiac Killer? Seen something in the shadows that still gives you chills? Had a brush with something unexplainable? Email us at talkradiotimewarp@gmail.com or chat live with me because you're not just listening, you're part of this timeline too. Now, let's begin. Let's wind the clocks back to the late 1960s, Northern California, a time of peace, protest, and paranoia. But beneath the counterculture calm, something darker stirred. A hooded figure haunted lovers' lanes and remote turnouts. He struck without warning, vanished without a trace, and left behind messages soaked in cryptic codes, threats, and riddles. Some were signed with the now infamous crosshair symbol. They called him the Zodiac. This is the Zodiac speaking. I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all. One of the many notes from the Zodiac Killer. Let's break down the timeline. The confirmed crimes. December 20th, 1968. Lake Herman Road, Benicia, California. David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, were parked on a secluded stretch just before 11 p.m. They were ambushed in their car. Betty Lou was shot 5 times in the back as she ran. David was shot in the head at close range. Both died. No witnesses, no motive, no suspect. Then, July 4th, 1969, Blue Rock Springs Park. Vallejo Darlene Farron, 22, and Michael Magoo, I think that's how they say the name, but 19, were sitting in Darlene's car when a man approached, shined a flashlight in their faces, and opened fire. Michael survived barely and described a heavy-set man with light curly hair. This time, the killer called the police and confessed. August 1st, 1969, letters began 3 newspapers, the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Examiner, and the San Francisco Chronicle. Each received nearly identical letters. Each contained a third of a cipher and a chilling message. The ciphers. The Zodiac sent 4 cryptograms taunting the public and the police. Z408 cipher, solved within a week in 1969 by a high school teacher and his wife, which apparently said, "I like killing people because it's so much fun." No name was revealed, just a manifesto of madness. Z340 cipher remained unsolved for over 51 years until 2020, when it was cracked by a team including a software engineer and cryptologists. The message claimed the killer wasn't afraid of the gas chamber and dismissed law enforcement's efforts. Z13 cipher and Z32 cipher. Short, taunting, and never cracked. He hinted one revealed his identity, or perhaps that was another game. August 1969 to October 1969. More murders. Just, murders. Lake Berryessa, September 27th, 1969. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking when a man approached in a black executioner hood, a white crosshair on his chest, brandishing a gun and a knife. He bound them both and stabbed them repeatedly. Brian survived. Cecilia died 2 days later. And then next we got Presidio Heights, San Francisco, October 11th, 1969. Cab driver Paul Stein was shot in the head. This time it happened in a populated neighborhood. Witnesses saw the killer, described as a white male, 35 to 45 years old, stocky, with reddish-brown hair. The Zodiac later mailed a piece of Stein's bloody shirt to the Chronicle to prove it was him. The taunts continue. The Zodiac sent over 20 letters and postcards. He mocked the police, claimed dozens of victims, though only 5 are confirmed, and even threatened to shoot school children. In one letter he said, "School children make nice targets. I think I shall wipe out a school bus some morning." Mass hysteria followed, of course. School buses were escorted. People were terrified. Now we get into the suspects. The most famous and still debated, Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester and Vallejo resident. He owned a Zodiac brand watch with the same crosshair logo. He told people he wanted to kill couples. He was the focus of the Zodiac movie, yet his handwriting, fingerprints, and DNA didn't match the evidence. And then we have Rick Marshall, a film projectionist with strange habits and cryptic letters of his own. Some believe he had knowledge of ciphers and lived near one of the crime scenes, but he was never charged. Lawrence Kane had brain damage and a violent past, worked in the same building as one of the Zodiac's victims, recognized by surviving victim Brian Hartnell, but again, no hard evidence. Plus, hundreds of others. Amateur sleuths, relatives, and YouTubers continue to dig. Even the FBI reopened files in 2021. So here's the real mystery. Was the Zodiac just one man, a calculating killer who faded into the shadows? Or a myth that grew with every newspaper clipping and terrified whisper? Could he still be alive? Was it multiple people? Or one of the earliest examples of a media-fueled serial killer legend? What do you think? Drop your theories in the live chat. Or on Twitter, at CrowRulesENT. Or at Riley Radio. Or email me at talkradiotimewarp@gmail.com. I'll read a few of the best ones next week. And maybe together we can finally decode the truth. Who knows? The truth is out there. Maybe. Now we go into another segment away from Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac was the main little beginning part. Now we go to the week in history. Alright, folks, it's time to dust off the history books. Or maybe the conspiracy boards and dig into the drama, mystery, and milestones of this week in time, May 26th through May 31st. What really went down? Let's find out. Major moments. May 30th, 1431, Joan of Arc burned at the stake. A peasant, a prophet, a warrior, branded a witch, burned alive, 5 centuries later, canonized a saint. Joan of Arc defied kings and heard voices, and the world is still listening. May 27th, 1937, the Golden Gate Bridge opens to the public. Painted international orange and straddling fog and fury, the Golden Gate still stands as a symbol of American resilience and hidden sorrow. May 31st, 2009, Dr. George Tiller assassinated, a man caught in the crossfire of a nation's moral debate, gunned down in a church, and still the arguments rage. May 29th, 1917, John F. Kennedy is born. Charismatic, flawed, brilliant, JFK remains the face of American possibility and the shroud of conspiracy. May 26th, 1896, first U.S. car accident. 2 cars, 1 crash. Welcome to American innovation and its unintended side effects. May 30th, 1922, Lincoln Memorial dedicated. Irony alert, a monument to the man who ended slavery, dedicated at a segregated ceremony. Oddities and mysteries. May 28th, 1953, mysterious lights reported over Mount Everest. Edmund Hillary summits Everest. Locals see lights in the sky. Are we alone up there, or just not looking high enough? May 27th, 1820, the Beast of Gévaudan attack resumes in France. A string of grisly attacks resumes in rural France. Try saying that 3 times fast. Anyways, later blamed on a mysterious wolf-like beast. Centuries later, some still believe it was not of this world. May 30th, 1806, Andrew Jackson kills Charles Dickinson in a duel. Yes, that Andrew Jackson, future U.S. president. He took a bullet to the chest, then calmly shot his opponent dead, and still walked away. May 31st, 1889, Jamestown flood kills 2,209. A dam breaks. A town is swallowed. America's deadliest flood. And the elite who may have caused it walked away untouched. May 28, 1930. First nighttime bank robbery in the U.S. with electric drill. Criminals break into the Bronx Borough Bank using a newfangled invention, the electric drill. Silent, slick, game-changing. May 31st, 1669. Mount Etna eruption kills 20,000. The mountain roared and the earth cracked. Sicily remembers. Nature doesn't negotiate. Now we get cultural and political flashpoints. May 26, 1896. The last Tsar of Russia, Nicholas II, is crowned. Opulence, mysticism, and doom. Less than 2 decades later, the Romanovs would be wiped from history with a revolution, a firing squad, and a buried secret. May 27th, 1999. Slobodan, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to say her name. Indicted for war crimes. History takes a stand. The first sitting head of state charged with genocide. A warning or a precedent. May 30th, 1911. First Indianapolis 500 held. 200 laps, gasoline, guts, a uniquely American blend of danger and spectacle. May 29th, 1954. RCA manufacturers first color TVs. From black and white shadows to technicolor dreams and nightmares, the screen would never look the same again. Now, a question. This next one is with a question. Time travel trigger. Time travel trigger. May 28, 1900. Discovery of the Antikythera mechanism. An ancient Greek device dredged from a shipwreck. Bronze gears, astronomical precision, a 2,000-year-old computer. So, who really invented time travel? History isn't just something you read about in dusty old books. It's alive, flowing through the blood of every week, hiding in the shadows of forgotten moments. Empires have risen and crumbled into dust. People have vanished without a trace. Strange lights have flickered in the night sky. Secrets lie beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. So I want to hear from you. What's your favorite forgotten moment? Do you know of an eerie anniversary that chills you to the bone? Maybe a bizarre news clipping that feels like it's from another world? Or a spooky coincidence that gave you goosebumps? Whatever it is, no matter how strange or small, send it to us. Drop your story, your message, your piece of forgotten history into our inbox at talkradiotimewarp@gmail.com. Your history might just take the mic next week, becoming part of our shared journey into the strange and the unknown. Let's uncover the past together, one forgotten story at a time. All right, ghost lovers and fear chasers, it's time for stories of the paranormal. This part of the show is going to be where reality flickers and the shadows whisper. These are real encounters sent in by listeners and friends of the show, and sometimes stories passed down through local legend or gathered from trusted sources. So grab a blanket, turn the lights down low, and listen closely because sometimes they come back. Now, these are all stories that just have been handed down in time and, passed around. So story number one, The Girl in the Road. A couple, Marissa and Jake, were driving home late one rainy October night in Georgia, not far from an old Civil War trail near Macon. The road twisted through woods that locals said were haunted, but they brushed it off as folklore. Then, headlights caught something ahead. A child, a little girl standing in the middle of the road, soaked to the bone in a white nightgown. Marissa screamed. Jake slammed the brakes. Tires squealed. And when they jumped out to help, she was gone. Not a sound. No footsteps. No rustling leaves. Just mist. The next morning, shaken, they called the local sheriff. He paused, then quietly said, that's not the first time someone's seen her. A girl died in an accident right there in 1973. Same night, same hour, every year, someone calls us about her. They don't drive that road anymore. Story number two, the Mirror Watcher. A listener from Akron, Ohio. No, it's not a listener. It was made up. We'll call her Lily. Sent in this chilling account. I was home alone. It was around 9 p.m., and I was curled up with a book on the living room couch. Everything was quiet, too quiet. My dog was asleep at my feet. That's when I felt it. A strange chill, like someone just walked in. I glanced up at the hallway mirror across from me and saw something. A tall, shadowy figure. No face, no features. Just watching, looming. I blinked and it vanished. But my dog, he was growling at the hallway for a full 5 minutes. I haven't uncovered that mirror since, and I didn't read alone in that room anymore. Now, a mini story here I found online. I was sleeping in my rig at a rest stop, middle of the night. I felt fingers brush my face, cold fingers. I woke up thinking someone broke in. But I was alone, door locked, windows up. Only thing out of place, a child's handprint on the inside of the windshield. I drive with a cross on the dash now. So, whether it's a vanishing girl, a haunted mirror, or a ghostly touch, one thing's for sure: the veil between this world and the next is thinner than we think. Remember, not all stories are from actual listeners or viewers. Some come from the dark corners of legend and trusted tales we just had to share with you. Do you have a true ghost story? A haunted house, a terrifying dream that came true, or something that still gives you chills to this day? Email it to us at talkradiotimewarp@gmail.com, and your story might haunt the airwaves next week. Until then, keep one eye open. You never know what's waiting in the dark.
Yeah.
All right, Time Warp Thursday listeners, it's time for our sponsor spotlight. Brought to you by Crow Rose Entertainment, broadcasting right here from our home base in Lakewood, Washington. As we continue to grow and look for incredible partners to join us on this mysterious journey, we want to take a moment to acknowledge the amazing local community around us. Because I'm in Lakewood, and I want to show that I'm trying. We've recently reached out to some fantastic Lakewood organizations. Well, I have. Not we. This ain't a team. This is me, all by myself on the screen going blah, blah, blah. But I've reached out to these places, the Lakewood Town Center, the Lakewood Playhouse, and Greater Lakes Mental Health, as part of our effort to build strong connections and support the vibrant spirit of our city. Now, if you're not from Lakewood, or even from Washington State at all, that's totally okay. This show is for anyone who loves mystery, storytelling, and diving into the unknown. But for me personally, I like to bring a bit of my hometown spirit and pride into the mix. Sharing that local flavor adds something special to the stories we tell and the connections we build. So whether you're tuning in from right here in the Pacific Northwest or somewhere across the globe, know that you're part of this community. We're all here to explore the strange, the eerie, and the fascinating together. Thanks for being part of the ride with Crow Rules Entertainment. Stay tuned for more mysteries, stories, and surprises, all coming to you from Lakewood, Washington, and beyond. Now we're going to get into some unsolved mysteries, okay? So let's dive into some other baffling real-life mysteries that still haunt us today. These are the kind of stories where every clue leads to more questions. Perfect for anyone who loves a good unsolved puzzle. First, the Long Island serial killer, active since 1996, also known as the Gilgo Beach Killer. This unidentified murderer is believed to have killed 10 to 16 people, mostly women, connected to the sex trade. Their remains were found along Long Island beaches, but despite multiple investigations, the killer has never been caught. Then we have the West Mesa Bone Collector, 2009. The remains of 11 women were found buried on the West Mesa of Albuquerque, New Mexico. All were connected by similar lifestyles and often reported missing before discovery. The case remains open, with no identified suspect, leaving the community searching for answers. And then we have the Somerton Man, 1948. An unidentified man was found dead on Somerton Beach, Australia, with no ID and strange cryptic clues in his pockets, including a secret code and a rare book. Despite decades of inquiry, his identity and cause of death remain a mystery. Then we got the Monster of Florence, 1968 to 1985, a serial killer who terrorized the rural Italian countryside near Florence. Yes, I can't say rural that well. Don't mind my language. Murdering couples in parked cars. The case saw numerous suspects and theories, including conspiracy and corruption, but the killer was never definitively identified. Now, if we go back to the Zodiac Killer, and you notice this one, murdering couples in parked cars. There's kind of a, but this was in Florence. Whatever. The Alphabet Murders, 1971 to 1973 in Rochester, New York. 3 young girls were abducted and murdered, each with matching initials for their first and last names. Despite multiple suspects and theories, the case remains officially unsolved, with eerie patterns still baffling investigators. The Isdal woman, 1970, found burned to death in Norway's Isdalen Valley. The woman's identity was never established. Clues suggested espionage, and her life before death was cloaked in mystery, with strange disguises and multiple aliases. Was she a spy, a victim of foul play, or something else? Which of these spine-chilling cases get under your skin? Or maybe you know of a mystery that still keeps you up at night. Share it with us. Let's unravel some of the unknown together. Wow, what a journey we've taken together tonight. From cryptic ciphers to restless spirits, from the year 1969 all the way to the mysteries unfolding today. Whether you tuned in chasing true crime chills, unraveling time slips, or diving headfirst into the terrifying unknown, thank you for being here with us for this very special milestone, episode 100. Your curiosity and passion have made this ride unforgettable. And just so you know, talk radio is evolving. Starting soon, you'll notice fresh, reoccurring segments popping up, like This Day in History, or Truth or Dare challenges, and more ways to get involved and keep the conversation going. It's all part of making this show more interactive and even more fun for you guys. And hey, don't be shy. Slide into our email at talkradiotimewarp@gmail.com and send your stories, theories, strange experiences, all that stuff via email. Your tales might just shape next week's episode. Speaking of next week, we're stepping into one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries, the lost colony of Roanoke. What really happened to those early settlers? Were they taken by the wilderness, by hostile forces, or something far stranger? We'll dive deep into the theories, the history, and the unexplained clues that keep this mystery alive. Thank you. You're the reason this show exists. You are the theorists, the fellow travelers, the midnight seekers who make exploring the unknown so much more than just stories. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for riding the waves of time with me. Until next time, this is Jonathan Riley, reminding you to keep your ears open, your minds curious, and your timelines clean. Stay safe out there in the folds of time and mystery, because you never know what's going to happen. And to do major closing here. Next week, I'm going to start doing more Lakewood, Washington kind of like stuff, bringing in some more local talk to go along with whatever else I'm talking about. Because I want to make this kind of a. I'm home based in Lakewood, Washington, so let's show some love for Lakewood, Washington, but also give all you guys around the world what I've been doing, just kind of blabbing away at different things, because that's kind of my niche. I blab. I try to have fun. I just run my mouth and just kind of sometimes out of my head just comes stuff that's weird, like right now. This ain't even on the script. I'm just talking. Um, and yes, I do use a script. That's why you'll see me not looking at the camera all the time. But yeah, I ain't got the best memory. I can't read a script and memorize that stuff and be like, oh, I'm good. I ain't got a teleprompter up in front of me where I can look at the camera and see the teleprompter and be reading to y'all. I'm not that good yet. But I still try to entertain and have some fun. I just have a passion for talking, and I have a passion for making this show and trying to reach people and just have conversation with people on the chat, which I don't get much, but when I do, I appreciate it. And if you wish to email me any ideas or stories or things that I talk about and ask about, email it, and maybe it'll be featured next week on the show or on a future episode. Until then, everybody, good night, much love, and don't let the nightmares keep you up all night. Okay, don't let the nightmares keep you up all night. And don't worry, the ghost in the corner, it's safe. It's not gonna hurt you none. It might touch you a little bit or make you feel kind of goofy. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I do have some stories that may be on next week's Time Warp Thursday of Lakewood, Washington kind of horror paranormal stuff that I've experienced or seen or heard of or whatever. But it's local. So stay tuned for that. Peace out.